today she has released, well, she's not released, it has been announced that her shoe is going to be dropped this week, and we can see what it looks like.
Nike's decision has ignited widespread outrage, with fans left questioning the company's priorities.
So Paige Bueckers is arguably the best player in college basketball right now. She's had a really good start to the season, and again, she's a 23-year-old dominating against 18-year-olds. She should be.
While Paige Bueckers makes history as the first college athlete with a Nike sneaker, Caitlin Clark, widely regarded as one of the most electrifying players in women's basketball, remains notably absent from the spotlight.
So Nike's first Paige Bueckers shoe drops this week. So Caitlin Clark has not had a shoe. By the way, she's had nothing. She's had nothing except the Rookie of the Year top.
How did Nike miss the mark with their biggest star? Was this a calculated strategy or an outright blunder? This is the story of how Nike's latest move has divided fans and ignited controversy in women's basketball. By unveiling a signature shoe for Paige Bueckers, while seemingly sidelining Caitlin Clark, Nike has sparked shockwaves across the sports world. What should have been a groundbreaking moment for women's basketball has quickly spiraled into a PR crisis, with fans, analysts, and casual observers alike questioning the brand's priorities. The controversy goes beyond the sneaker. It's about how Nike's decision is being interpreted as a glaring snub of Caitlin Clark, a player widely recognized as the face of women's basketball.
Nike signed Bueckers in September 2023, where she frequently wore the GT Hustle 2 on court. She signed several NIL deals. So, Nike signed Caitlin Clark in 2022. Nada. Nike signed Paige Bueckers in 2023. Signature shoe straight away.
Fans are outraged, flooding social media with calls for action, including boycotts of Nike products. How do you ignore Caitlin Clark, the best player in women's basketball? One fan tweeted. Another added, Nike just doesn't get it. Disrespecting Caitlin Clark is unacceptable, and I'm done buying their products. These frustrations are mirrored in fan forums, where debates over Nike's priorities dominate discussions. Some fans are even posting videos of themselves discarding Nike gear, while others are pledging to switch to competitors like Adidas or Under Armour. The backlash is undeniable, and the noise is only getting louder. The irony of this controversy is rooted in Caitlin Clark's undeniable greatness. She doesn't need brands to validate her. Brands need her. At just 22, Clark has transcended college basketball, becoming a household name in sports overall. Her record-breaking performances, exceptional leadership, and ability to draw massive crowds have cemented her status as a superstar. Her jaw-dropping shots and playmaking skills regularly go viral, captivating basketball fans across the globe and proving that her impact speaks for itself.
It's cool. And look, I think it's simultaneously, it's okay to say it's really cool that Paige Bueckers is getting her shoe, but Nike fumbled Caitlin Clark so badly.
The controversy highlights a larger issue with Nike's approach to sports marketing. While Bueckers is undeniably talented and deserving of recognition, many feel that Clark's cultural and athletic impact has reached unprecedented levels. Her performances consistently draw massive audiences, and her highlights frequently go viral, captivating basketball fans worldwide. For a brand as influential as Nike, sidelining such a star feels like a glaring missed opportunity. Nike's decision not to launch a Caitlin Clark signature shoe has also raised concerns about their ability to connect with their audience. Fans argue that Clark's dominance and charisma make her the perfect candidate to lead a campaign that could transcend sports and become a cultural moment. Instead, Nike's move has been widely interpreted as tone-deaf, sparking backlash that continues to grow. This misstep has opened the door for competitors like Adidas and Under Armour to step in and align themselves with Clark, whose marketability continues to soar. A Caitlin Clark signature shoe could not only boost sales, but also send a powerful message about valuing women's sports. If Nike doesn't act quickly, they risk losing one of the brightest stars in basketball to a rival brand. For now, Caitlin Clark's star power shines brighter than ever. She doesn't need a signature shoe to prove her greatness. Her talent and influence speak for themselves. However, for Nike, this situation serves as a wake-up call. The backlash has shown that fans are paying attention, demanding better representation, and willing to hold brands accountable. If Nike fails to recognize Clark's value, it risks falling behind in the rapidly evolving landscape of women's sports marketing. Caitlin Clark is changing the game, literally. Her ability to drain deep three-pointers, the kind you usually associate with Steph Curry, has redefined the expectations for women's basketball. It's not just about the range, it's her confidence, flair, and ability to consistently perform at a level we've rarely, if ever, seen before. NBA legends and basketball greats are taking notice, and their reactions are a testament to her talent and impact. Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, didn't hold back in his praise. He highlighted how much Caitlin has done for the WNBA and called for better officiating to protect her from unnecessary fouls and hostility. MJ's message was clear: Caitlin is invaluable to the game, and it's time the league treated her accordingly. Steph Curry, often seen as her male counterpart, has been equally impressed. He's pointed out the similarities in their games, not just the lightning-fast release and jaw-dropping range, but also their ability to elevate teammates and put on a show for fans. As Steph said, she's the total package. But Caitlin's rise hasn't come without challenges. From the start, she's faced criticism and even hostility from some WNBA players. NBA legends like Rick Barry and George Gervin have defended her, calling out the jealousy and disrespect. Barry was blunt, saying the hate comes from fear of her undeniable talent. Gervin added that Caitlin's impact goes beyond the court. She's brought private charters, bigger sponsorships, and unprecedented attention to the WNBA. As Barkley put it, you should be thanking that girl. Yet, not everyone is on board. Reggie Miller sees the adversity as part of Caitlin's journey, arguing that every rookie must prove themselves. Kevin Garnett echoed that sentiment, framing the extra defensive attention and hard fouls as a sign of respect. They both believe these challenges will only make her stronger. The controversy around Caitlin reached a new level when she was left off the U.S. Olympic roster. Critics like Paul Pierce argued it was a missed opportunity for the sport, while others, like Dwight Howard, saw it differently. Howard suggested the break might have been a blessing in disguise, giving Caitlin time to recharge and dominate in the second half of the season. Through it all, Caitlin has stayed focused. Her game has grown faster, sharper, and even more electrifying. Legends like Shaquille O'Neal have praised her ability to silence critics with her play. Shaq, in his signature style, summed it up perfectly. If I say you're not gonna hit that shot and you hit it anyway, you're the truth. What's remarkable is how much Caitlin has already done for women's basketball. Magic Johnson, who has an ownership stake in the WNBA, compared her to young stars like Angel Reese, saying players like Caitlin are shaping the league's future. Magic also pointed out that it's not just about Caitlin being the most popular player, it's about her potential to reach the very top, just like he and Larry Bird once did. Even with all the challenges and noise, Caitlin's journey has been nothing short of transformative. She's bringing in fans, raising the league's profile, and proving that women's basketball is a force to be reckoned with. As Charles Barkley said, the WNBA owes her a lot for what she's done for the game. Caitlin Clark is not just a rising star, she's a trailblazer. Her ability to thrive under pressure, elevate the sport, and handle adversity with grace is why basketball legends, fans, and critics alike are rooting for her. Whether it's breaking records or changing perceptions, Caitlin is building a legacy that will be talked about for years to come. Is the WNBA racist? Some would say so, but let's discuss some facts and numbers first. By all means, this was the best year the WNBA has ever had. They set an all-time record for total television viewers, reaching 54 million people. They also set an all-time record for the number of broadcasts that hit at least 1 million viewers. The league saw its highest total attendance in more than 2 decades, with a massive 50% increase compared to last year. The All-Star Game broke new ground with a staggering 10 million fan votes, a more than 500% increase from the previous year. The Indiana Fever, the team Caitlin Clark plays for, managed to set an all-time single-season attendance record for a WNBA team. Beyond that, the league saw a 350% year-over-year growth in subscriptions to their paid streaming service. Add to that more social media engagement, more sellout crowds, more news coverage, and more merchandise sales than ever before. It's the kind of season that WNBA executives likely never imagined was possible. Now, given all these remarkable achievements, how much money do you think the WNBA made this year? How much revenue could such a groundbreaking season bring in? What kind of profit do you think they were able to achieve? Earlier in the year, there were reports suggesting that the WNBA's finances weren't looking great, and now that the final numbers are in, those estimates have proven to be pretty accurate. According to the New York Post, the WNBA lost $40 million this year. Yes, during its best season ever, the league still managed to operate at a loss of $40 million. They exceeded nearly every metric for growth and engagement, and yet failed to turn a profit. This isn't just a bad year financially, it's a pattern. The WNBA has never been profitable in its entire history, and at this point, it's difficult to see how that could ever change. It's a concept fundamentally at odds with reality, because the majority of Americans simply aren't interested in watching women's basketball. Even during a record-breaking year like this one, the numbers show that interest still isn't enough to sustain the league financially. This backdrop makes Caitlin Clark's recent interview with Time magazine particularly interesting. Time, which still exists, recently named Clark their Athlete of the Year and featured her on the cover. In the article, Clark made a statement that's simultaneously revealing and controversial. Here's the part that stands out, directly from Time magazine. "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege," says Clark. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. There are 2 things happening here. First, Clark is crediting black women with building the WNBA. Without them, she argues, the league wouldn't exist. While this might be intended as a compliment, it's a bit like praising someone for founding a business that consistently loses millions of dollars. However, even this claim isn't entirely accurate. The WNBA was built and is still financially sustained by the NBA. Without the NBA's funding and support, the WNBA wouldn't exist at all. She goes further to say that black women deserve to be elevated and celebrated, which makes it clear why she's saying this. She's protecting her endorsements and her status in the WNBA by endorsing a narrative that aligns with modern progressive ideals. What's interesting is that Clark's words come after and during a season in which she faced relentless abuse on the court. Whether it was being knocked over, poked in the eye, or shoulder-checked, Clark was repeatedly targeted, and in some cases even taunted afterward. Yet, despite this treatment, she's out here claiming that she has privilege. As a white woman in the WNBA, her experience suggests anything but privilege. What she does have is undeniable talent. Clark set records as a rookie, including the most points, the most assists, and becoming the fastest player to reach 300 points. Her performance is the reason she's a standout, not her race. However, her willingness to embrace the narrative of privilege, even after the way she was treated on the court, raises questions about whether she's doing so out of conviction or necessity. The WNBA, for all its growth and engagement, remains a business with fundamental issues. Even in its best year, it couldn't come close to profitability. Clark's commentary highlights the league's reliance on all players, but doesn't address the underlying problem. The WNBA is asking for an audience that largely doesn't exist. The record-breaking engagement figures show progress, but they also show limits. A majority of Americans still aren't tuning in, even when the league reaches its peak. In the end, the WNBA's challenges go far beyond racial dynamics or privilege. The league's financial woes point to a deeper issue: its inability to convert interest into sustainable revenue. Caitlin Clark's remarks may spark conversations, but they don't change the reality that the WNBA is, at its core, a business struggling to justify its existence in the sports market.
Caitlin Clark's golf debut just made me so upset with the WNBA because the LPGA just did everything that the WNBA should have been doing this season.
Caitlin Clark made waves in the world of women's sports, but this time, it wasn't on the basketball court. Her impressive debut at an LPGA Pro-Am event created quite a buzz, leaving both fans and critics amazed.
Now, from this event, I have only seen and heard of positive things. I didn't hear one thing about how her fans are toxic. I didn't hear one thing about there being too much spotlight on Caitlin Clark and it should have maybe been on the professional golfers that are there. We didn't hear any of that.
While the LPGA rolled out the red carpet for her, the WNBA's lack of response was impossible to ignore. What's really happening behind the scenes?
I honestly just got so triggered by Caitlin Clark's golf debut, and it is no fault of hers that I got upset. It is the fault of the WNBA because the LPGA just did everything.
Caitlin Clark is now a household name, not only for her WNBA success, but also for her unexpected performance in golf. Her appearance at the LPGA Pro-Am wasn't just a typical celebrity cameo, it turned into a nationally spotlighted event. Fans showed up in droves, pushing for the tournament to be broadcast. And when it finally aired, the LPGA struck gold. They didn't just include Caitlin, they made her the star of the entire event.
How this Pro-Am event originally wasn't even going to be televised, but there were so many fans who were emailing the organization saying, how can we watch Caitlin? Can we come to the event? Can you live stream it? All of these things. And it ended up being put on television.
Let's break it down. The LPGA didn't just get lucky with this opportunity, they planned it with precision. They paired Caitlin with Nelly Korda, the top-ranked golfer in the world. Think about it, one of the biggest stars in women's basketball teaming up with the best golfer around. That's not a coincidence. That's smart marketing. Photos of Caitlin and Nelly were all over social media, generating a buzz that reached well beyond golf fans. Basketball lovers, golf enthusiasts, and more were instantly hooked.
Fans were really excited about that. There was so much buzz online. She was trending on Twitter, all of the things. And the LPGA was promoting the crap out of this event. And they also did something really smart by pairing her up with their currently #1 golfer in the world.
Meanwhile, the WNBA, the league that shot Caitlin to stardom, remained completely silent. They didn't tweet, post, or make any mention of her golf success. Fans definitely noticed, and it raised a lot of questions. Why wasn't her own league celebrating such a huge moment? It felt like a major missed opportunity, especially after the LPGA showed just how much star power Caitlin could bring to another sport.
There are photos of Caitlin and Nelly literally everywhere. And the LPGA was so smart in doing this because they knew that there would be so many eyeballs on Caitlin. So if they put their number one golfer, who is currently leading the sport and pushing the sport ahead, if they put her next to Caitlin for the entire event, that's just great. It's great for Nelly and it's great for everyone else.
It wasn't just the LPGA that jumped on Caitlin's star power. Media outlets were all over the story too. From SportsCenter to Bleacher Report, everyone covered her every move at the event, from her swings to her interactions with fans. Everything Caitlin did became headline news. The LPGA took full advantage of the spotlight, promoting not only Caitlin, but also showcasing their top golfers. It was a win-win situation. In contrast, the WNBA took a different approach. Throughout Caitlin's rookie season, many fans felt the league wasn't doing enough to promote her, despite her standout performances and the clear Caitlin Clark effect on viewership numbers. The league seemed hesitant to fully embrace her rising fame. Critics argued that the WNBA was trying too hard to evenly distribute attention, even when it was obvious Caitlin was the main draw. This reluctance was even more noticeable during the LPGA Pro-Am. While the LPGA leaned into Caitlin's popularity, the WNBA's silence was glaring. Fans didn't hold back, taking to social media to share their frustrations. Many pointed out that this was exactly what they'd been saying all season. The WNBA wasn't doing enough to leverage Caitlin's popularity, so why would the WNBA hold back? Some say the league is cautious about focusing too much on one player, fearing it might overshadow others or stir up tension within the league. Others think it's a missed opportunity tied to outdated marketing tactics. Whatever the reason, the difference between the LPGA's strategy and the WNBA's silence was striking.
First person I can honestly say that looks like Steph Curry. Like, she's not guardable right now, and she can hit almost any shot from the outside.
Almost any.
How much of a power she is out there on the court. The cool part is the way that she plays and her range and the level of difficulty on her shots is obviously a very close comparison.
From long-range shots to lasting influence, Caitlin Clark isn't just setting records, she's shattering them. Surpassing even Steph Curry's iconic three-point average, she's reshaping the future of basketball. But what happens when Caitlin Clark crosses paths with Steph Curry's legacy?
Do you think Caitlin Clark could beat Steph Curry in a three-point contest?
That's tough. Shooters can have an off night. You just never know. Caitlin has no conscience where she pulls from.
Steph has no conscience where he pulls from.
Been doing it for a long time, so can never go against Steph. Steph has been doing it for a long time.
Recently, Caitlin Clark has solidified her place in basketball history, and it's not just because of her scoring ability, it's where she scores from. New stats show that Caitlin Clark now holds the record for the longest average three-point range, an incredible 28 feet.
I think the WNBA narrative right now is Caitlin Clark, and I think that's a good narrative, but it's also not the only narrative. Caitlin is an amazing generational talent, and she's going to do amazing things. You're the number one pick. People are going to go after.
This remarkable accomplishment not only surpasses the previous record held by NBA legend Steph Curry, but it also sets a new, higher standard for shooting excellence in basketball. By pushing the boundaries of what was once thought possible, Caitlin Clark has redefined the range at which players can score, inspiring future generations to aim even further.
Do I need to call you the female version of Steph Curry, or do I need to call Steph Curry the male version of Caitlin Clark?
I think I'll just be the female version of Steph.
At just 22 years old, Clark's achievement is far more than a statistical outlier. It's a reflection of her unmatched skill, court awareness, and unshakable confidence. As the all-time leading scorer in college basketball, regardless of gender, she has already left an indelible mark on the game. With her new record-breaking 28-foot average, Caitlin Clark has not just added a new statistic to her resume, she's fundamentally redefined what it means to be a sharpshooter in the modern era. To put her accomplishment into perspective, Steph Curry, widely considered the greatest shooter in basketball history, boasts a three-point range averaging around 27 feet. At the time, that seemed untouchable. Curry's range revolutionized the game, sparking an era of deep shooting and permanently changing the way basketball is played. But now, Caitlin Clark has pushed that boundary even further, raising the bar to new heights.
I love me some Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball.
However, Clark has taken that revolution even further, stretching the boundaries of possibility with an additional foot of range that makes her a constant threat the moment she crosses half court. This is no accident. Clark's shooting range is the result of years of dedicated training, an innate basketball IQ, and an unwavering competitive spirit. Her shooting form is a perfect balance of precision and power, enabling her to effortlessly launch shots from well beyond the arc. But what truly sets her apart is her fearlessness. Clark isn't afraid to take shots from distances most players wouldn't even think about. Whether it's a contested three in the final seconds of a game or a casual pull-up from 30 feet on the fast break, she makes what seems impossible look completely effortless.
Shout out to Caitlin Clark. She's a certified bucket. To quote Shaq, I was not familiar with her game. I respect her game. She's a fucking baller. She was pulling up like Steph Curry from deep. But I just got one question. Matt, do you think you can beat Caitlin Clark in one-on-one?
Absolutely not. Nobody here can.
I'm busting her ass. You wild. Shit. You wild, bro.
This record also speaks volumes about the evolution of women's basketball. Clark's success stands as a powerful testament to how the game has progressed, with athletes consistently pushing the limits of what's possible on the court. Her remarkable shooting range has drawn comparisons to Curry, but it has also established her as a trailblazer in her own right, showing that women's basketball is just as dynamic, innovative, and game-changing as the men's game.
I think Steph Curry made the WNBA watchable.
Caitlin Clark, baby.
The way that Caitlin Clark was playing was a very digestible form of basketball. But now this girl out of nowhere is playing like Steph, and it was still digestible.
Meanwhile, Clark has reached this milestone in an era where defenders are more focused than ever on limiting long-range threats. Opponents specifically game plan to neutralize her, yet she continues to excel, constantly finding ways to create space and sink one clutch shot after another from deep. Her 28-foot average isn't just a number, it's a declaration of dominance. As Caitlin Clark keeps breaking records and exceeding expectations, the basketball world is left to wonder just how much further she can push the boundaries of shooting.
Is there anybody in the NBA under the age of 30 that's a bigger name, bigger jaw, bigger star than Caitlin Clark?
For now, one thing is clear. Clark has not only surpassed Steph Curry's legendary mark, but has firmly established herself as one of the most transformative figures in basketball. Her 28-foot average three-point range is more than just a record, it's the foundation of a legacy in the making. Caitlin Clark isn't just redefining the game of basketball, she's reshaping its entire business model. The sharpshooting sensation, already celebrated for her historic three-point average that outpaces even Curry, is demonstrating that her influence extends far beyond the court.
I mean, honestly, $1,000 for a family of four to go to a WNBA game. That seems wild. It really does. The Clark effect.
Clark now represents an incredible 1/4 of all WNBA merchandise and ticket sales. This remarkable achievement highlights her power to attract fans, drive revenue, and become a true game changer for women's sports. Moreover, in a league that has long battled for visibility and equality, Clark has sparked an unprecedented wave of fan engagement. From jerseys bearing her name to arenas packed with fans chanting in her honor, Clark is more than just a player, she's become a movement.
Caitlin Clark, her style of play it's not just her individually as a person or what skin color she is. I think it's, more so about her style of play, her playing.
According to reports, her merchandise sales alone make up nearly 25% of the WNBA's total revenue in this category, an extraordinary figure that speaks to her unmatched popularity. Whether it's fans buying her iconic number 22 jersey or scooping up exclusive Caitlin Clark-themed collectibles, her appeal is undeniable. The same goes for ticket sales. Clark's games are an event, consistently attracting record-breaking crowds. Did you catch the latest? Ben Shapiro just took down Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson over her ridiculous comments about Caitlin Clark.
So one of the bizarre controversies of the last week is Caitlin Clark, who is the WNBA's only nameable star. Here, for example, is WNBA team owner Sheila Johnson. Here she is, ripping Caitlin Clark and the fan base for liking Caitlin Clark, saying it's only because Caitlin Clark is white.
In what might as well be an Olympic gold medal for bad takes, Sheila's claiming that Clark didn't deserve Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year title, basically suggesting that everyone in the WNBA should be recognized, except for Caitlin Clark.
Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said the WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have? Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings. And so now you're starting to hear stories of racism within the WNBA, and I don't want to hear that. We have got to operate and become stronger as a league and respect everybody that's playing.
You heard that right. This is the ultimate everybody gets a trophy mentality, but cranked up to the max. Shapiro wasted no time shredding Johnson's argument, using his signature rapid-fire style to highlight just how ridiculous her position really is.
You're not putting the entire WNBA on the cover because not everybody can fit and nobody knows who any of those people are. By the way, 31% apparently of the entire Washington Mystics ticket sales this year came in 2 games. I will give you a guess as to which player was featured in those 2 games.
Exactly. Not everyone can fit inside the spotlight, and definitely not the entire WNBA. As for this talk of upliftment, let's not forget that 31% of the Washington Mystics' annual revenue has come from games featuring Caitlin Clark and her team. Are we seriously supposed to pretend Caitlin Clark isn't single-handedly bringing fresh energy to a league that's been struggling to stay relevant?
Look, I'm going to be completely honest about this. I thought what Wizards owner Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark came off as racist. Sheila Johnson is the black billionaire owner of the NHL's Washington Capitals, the NBA's Washington Wizards, and the WNBA's Washington Mystics. Johnson said she did not agree with Time Magazine making Caitlin Clark the first ever WNBA player to be Athlete of the Year.
Sheila's claim that Caitlin Clark's success somehow undermines the rest of the league definitely carries a whiff of something darker. It's hard to ignore how that perspective reeks of racism, whether she intended it or not.
And with putting Caitlin Clark on the cover. Johnson said the entire WNBA should have been chosen as the League of the Year and that numerous stars should have been put on the cover. She said the WNBA has a long legacy of black stars and that, and I quote, something clicked with the WNBA last year because of the draft. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's Reese, as in, of course, Chicago's Angel Reese.
Seriously? Angel Reese doesn't even come close to Caitlin Clark, both in skill and popularity. So why is Sheila so eager to downplay Clark's accomplishments? It's almost like she's trying to diminish something that clearly stands out on its own.
Johnson said, and I quote, "There's so much talent out there that's unrecognized, and I don't think we can pin it on just one player. When you single out one, it creates hard feelings," end of quote. Johnson said, what's been happening to black players on social media, and I quote, has got to stop, and that, and I quote again, this division of racism is going to tear us apart, end quote.
Exactly. Are we seriously going to stop celebrating a player just because others are feeling threatened or jealous? That doesn't sit right, does it? This is straight up unfair treatment. Sheila should be recognizing greatness, not trying to undermine it.
Johnson is saying to me, the majority of WNBA players are black and have always been black, that basketball belongs more to black players than to white, and that it's not healthy for the league to have a white player featured as Athlete of the Year on the cover of Time. Now, I'm pretty sure if WNBA MVP Asia Wilson had made the cover of Time as Athlete of the Year, Johnson wouldn't have had any problem with that. Just not the white girl.
Absolutely. What Sheila's implying is that we should start picking and choosing who gets praise based on the color of their skin, rather than their talent or achievements. It's absurd on so many levels, and frankly, it's a huge disservice to the game and the players who deserve recognition.
But this person put this on as a quote to this video. Sheila Johnson's worth $850 million, and she doesn't put a penny back into the neighborhood she comes from. Very interesting. She doesn't even come back to her high school to show little black girls that they can become her. My little cousins go to the same high school. They don't even know she exists. Very interesting indeed.
Did you catch that? It turns out Sheila might be guilty of the very thing she's accusing Caitlin Clark of. That's right. She supposedly doesn't do charity or encourage the black kids in her community to become billionaires like herself. Talk about hypocrisy at its finest, folks.
Well, the league has always been woke, has always had an agenda. The league and the sports media, the establishment sports media that is, and their surrogates. Always. And they pride themselves on that.
It's become pretty clear that the WNBA has a lot of politics playing out behind the scenes. Could this be what's been holding the league back all these years? It's hard not to wonder if these power struggles and biases are part of the reason the league hasn't reached the level of recognition and success it deserves.
But since Caitlin Clark stepped into the waters with the Time magazine interview, it's almost like you're gonna see more people, more comments, more demands. You're going to see it's going to be less and less about basketball, what you want to see, and it's going to be a whole lot of this stuff, because it's like she ripped off another layer of the onion, and this one is a big one. And so now people feel like they can just go all in.
Exactly. Sheila's opposition to Caitlin Clark seems rooted in the fact that, like many so-called woke figures, she's recognized that Clark isn't playing by the usual political playbook. Instead of bending to certain narratives or pushing an agenda, Clark is simply focused on earning her success through talent. And that's something that doesn't sit well with people who expect athletes to follow their scripted roles.
But this, of course, is the Mystics owner that said that Caitlin Clark should give up her Time magazine award and give it to the entire WNBA. Of course, that has now become a running joke, and the mother of all community checks came down here and nailed her. 31% of Mystics' total home attendance for the 2024 season came from the 2 games versus Caitlin Clark and the Fever.
Newsflash, Sheila, sports thrive on competition, not on the equality of outcome. Claiming that Caitlin Clark doesn't deserve to be singled out is like saying LeBron James should share his accolades with the benchwarmers just because of team effort. That's not how greatness works. Individual brilliance deserves recognition, and Clark has earned every bit of it.
It's important that we say, you know what? You want to go all in? You want to go in, people with a lot of nonsense? Then guess what? We're going to go in too, and we're going to expose the nonsense.
Exactly. A lot of these racist attitudes flourish when there's no pushback or challenge. That's why speaking out isn't just an option, it's a responsibility. If we stay silent, we're allowing these harmful views to persist unchecked. It's crucial to stand up and call out hypocrisy when we see it.
What it is. A lot of times, like you, we're just like, we just want to let's just play basketball. But then when they start saying nonsense, like when the owner of a WNBA team, Sheila Johnson, Washington Mystics, when she says some of the stuff like she said that people are talking about today, it's like, okay, you want to play hardball? Then let's play.
Absolutely. Caitlin Clark isn't just a great player. She's a mythical juggernaut and a cultural icon. She's rewriting the rules of the game, and her numbers prove it. She's not just good, she's the best. And anyone who tries to deny that is ignoring the undeniable facts.
A lot to be proud of, and it all happened so fast, like it's hard to appreciate in the moment.
That is Iowa native and Indiana Fever star, and now Time's 2024 Athlete of the Year, Caitlin Clark, looking back at a whirlwind year.
Caitlin Clark has just taken the internet by storm, but not for the reasons you might expect. In a move that left the basketball world in awe, this 22-year-old superstar effortlessly swept up awards, sparking envy among some of her WNBA peers.
I see are the bees that are being dramatic about Caitlin Clark. That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
From being named Time's Athlete of the Year to securing a spot on Forbes' 100 Most Powerful Women list, Caitlin Clark's trophy case is overflowing with accolades. While countless fans are celebrating her remarkable achievements, others aren't so supportive and are throwing shade her way. You won't believe who's leading the jealousy parade, and what they're doing will absolutely stun you.
Time magazine recognizes the monster impact Clark had on basketball, saying good luck naming another athlete who altered the trajectory of their entire team sport within 5 months on the job.
Caitlin Clark has taken the basketball world by storm, effortlessly collecting awards as if they were going out of style. She clinched Time's Athlete of the Year, secured a spot on Forbes' 100 Most Influential Women, made it to Forbes' 30 Under 30, and to top it all off, she's been nominated for the BBC Sports Personality of the Year. But why is a 22-year-old rookie receiving so much recognition?
I first want to start with Time Magazine, Ari, and I think this is maybe the least surprising announcement of the year, that the Athlete of the Year for Time Magazine is Caitlin Clark.
Imagine a young woman stepping onto the court, instantly capturing the world's attention. That's Caitlin Clark for you. She's not just breaking records, she's obliterating them, with an astonishing 62 records in the WNBA alone. These numbers aren't merely impressive, they're legendary.
There's only one that can do what Caitlin Clark did. Bring all those eyes. For pure basketball purists, there's nobody like her. Now, culturally, we can make an argument, but like on the court, what she did, and I don't know if you saw, Indiana Fever yesterday posted this clip of Caitlin, and the caption was just her accolades, and it took 5 minutes to read, and I'm like, girl, do you want to chill at all? She doesn't know.
Zero. And it, listen, I think this is probably the easiest decision to make, right?
But Caitlin Clark's impact extends far beyond the stat sheet. She's transforming the game in ways no one could have anticipated. Remember when skeptics claimed that women's basketball wasn't exciting? Clark has made them eat their words. Her unique playing style captivates audiences, turning every game into must-see TV. In her own words, I've been able to captivate so many people who have never watched women's sports, let alone women's basketball, and turn them into fans.
We've never, ever seen somebody in this way capture an audience, capture a new audience, and be able to absolutely attribute real numbers and statistics to their popularity, right? Like 19 million people watching, and certainly watching the national championship.
What truly sets Caitlin Clark apart from other rookies isn't just her exceptional skill, it's her extraordinary ability to elevate everyone around her. This standout trait has fans and analysts alike buzzing with excitement about what lies ahead for this basketball sensation. Remember the days when WNBA games struggled to fill the stands? Those days are becoming a distant memory. For years, the WNBA grappled with low attendance and declining viewership, leaving many skeptical about its future. People questioned, can one player really make a difference? Caitlin Clark has decisively answered that question with a resounding yes, transforming the landscape of the league and proving that a single star can ignite a powerful movement.
We talk about ceilings a lot, but she
Yeah.
created a new floor.
Yeah.
So now we're going to look back. Even if it doesn't hit the numbers that it hit this season, the expectation is much higher. The interest is generally much higher. The investment is much higher.
Let's break down the numbers. Since Caitlin Clark joined the WNBA, attendance has skyrocketed, TV ratings are through the roof, and merchandise sales are flying off the shelves. But it's not just about Clark. Her popularity is lifting the entire league. More fans, more media coverage, and more opportunities for players have transformed the WNBA into must-see entertainment. According to analysts, Clark alone is responsible for 26.5% of the league's revenue. That's not just impressive, it's a game changer. Clark has sparked a movement. Teammates like Lexi Hull and Aaliyah Boston have openly praised her, while friends like Sabrina Ionescu and Cameron Brink continue to celebrate her success. Even Kim Mulkey, Angel Reese's former coach, put aside past rivalries to call Clark a generational talent. Her impact extends far beyond her stats. She's changing how women's basketball is viewed worldwide. But with success comes backlash. Some WNBA veterans feel overshadowed by Clark's rapid rise. Aja Wilson's recent comments in Time magazine and Angel Reese's escalating speaking fees are stirring the pot, hinting at jealousy within the league. Even Cheryl Swoops, a WNBA legend, questioned Clark's recent accolades. Yet, amidst the drama, Clark remains focused, letting her game speak volumes. Her influence isn't just elevating her team, it's reshaping women's sports as a whole. From her inclusion in Forbes' 30 Under 30 to her role in boosting league-wide attendance and merchandise sales, Clark is at the forefront of a new era. As the 2025 season approaches, all eyes are on her Indiana Fever, set to face Angel Reese's Chicago Sky in a highly anticipated opener. Clark's vision goes beyond personal success. She's committed to lifting the entire sport, saying, "I know my star power comes with benefits, but I also want to honor the work done before me to bring the league to this point." Her impact is already historic, but for Clark, this is just the beginning. With her ability to inspire fans and unite players, Caitlin Clark is rewriting the playbook for women's basketball. As she continues to break records and grow the league, she's not just changing the game, she's paving the way for future generations. The excitement is building, and the best is yet to come.